Earlier this year when I played Hi-Fi Rush, it wasn't only a breath of fresh air, but it was also a very smooth experience. Everything matches with the rhythm and the art style was also very convincing, and I kept on playing it. A couple months after that, Resident Evil 4 Remake came out, which also was very smooth when we played it. And this is a full AAA game, so we have high quality textures, lots of rain, sexy bodies, and Leon's head. But games like Star Wars Jedi Survivor, Redfall, Hogwarts Legacy, and even Gotham Knights played horribly on PC, and I only played Star Wars Jedi Survivor and Hogwarts Legacy because the other two games, well, we don't talk about them. So what's really happening with PC games? In order to know what's really happening, I got to do some research, and even though I'm not a developer, I still wanted to get a little bit more information on what is really happening. And after lots of research, I was able to find one of the major reasons why PC games right now are in a bad state, and that is shader compilation. I have no idea what the fuck that was as well. Shaders are basically programs that determine light, color, shadow, and much more in a scene. Whatever you're seeing in the screen right now are shaders that the GPU applies on these objects to make it look that way. So when the game is played in PCs, the graphics card needs to know information, and CPU supplies that information in a better way so that the GPU can understand. And all of that process in general is called shader compilation. You must have seen these bad boys coming on top of every Call of Duty game that shaders are being installed, please wait. Or these bad boys onto the bottom left of Last of Us, but you had to wait hours and hours long till that was finished. So that's called pre-compiling shaders, basically compiling these shaders beforehand so that when you play the game, you won't get the stuttery feeling. Didn't really quite work with The Last of Us, did it? And funny enough, you will not find this line coming in Jedi Survivor or Hogwarts Legacy. And the reason why is because these two games and the other games I mentioned have one thing in common: Unreal Engine 4. Unreal Engine does not have a system in place where it can pre-compile shaders, so it compiles these shaders as you're playing the game. So whenever you go to a brand new location, a brand new environment, it stutters because it's trying to compile at the same time as it's playing the game. And because of that, developers have to work later on to fix all these issues. It took Gotham Knights around 6 months to figure out how to fix these issues, and now the game plays without any stuttering, which is really cool. Well, why is this issue not happening in consoles? Because consoles have the same exact hardware configuration, and since the configuration is the exact same, the developers know first of all how to make a game for that hardware, and on the other hand they also can create a shader file which can then easily be loaded into the game and there will be no stuttering. But since PCs have tons and tons of combinations of CPUs or GPUs or hard disks, it's very hard for developers to know all of these configurations and make sure that the game runs in all of these configurations. It is possible, but that requires developers a lot more time and money, which these big guys called the publishers will not be giving them so much. But good thing is that this Unreal Engine 5 is actually having this automatic pre-compiling shaders technique that can easily help this problem of Unreal Engine 4. Not only that, the engine has a lot of cool things that can make the game look even better. So we are just waiting for the developers to see if that technique can help play games on PCs. But I was even more surprised when I found out that consoles are actually better than PCs. When you're playing the game, you see these beautiful textures and assets, and the GPU is always in charge of that. On a PC, these textures and assets are loaded from the RAM to the CPU, and the CPU will have to decompress this data so that the GPU can understand, and it uses it to render the scene. However, the problem here is the CPU is also running the game, and at the same time, it's also decompressing, so the load on the CPU is quite high. And that's why you might see drops in FPS when you're going from one scene to the other. But that's not the case in console, because consoles have a different chipset which only works on decompression. And so the CPU is not handling that, which means it's free and is able to handle the game much better. However, there were certain developers who were able to find a solution for AAA games even if they are using Unreal Engine 4. This was done by the developers of Ghostwire Tokyo, who also made Hi-Fi Rush. The solution to this is much more detailed because you have to know about CPU multi-threading, then how Unreal Engine 4 works. So that whole information was a mindfuck for me. But the main thing is that in order to use that solution, developers need to focus particularly in order to get it solved. And as I mentioned before, they don't get enough time, and sometimes they don't even have enough development budget so that they can use all that focus on making this right. And that's why games are released just like it is and then later on fixed. Unfortunately, many of these games are made for consoles first, since it's easier as they know the hardware that a console has. But while porting it to PC, it is a completely different ballgame. And while they try to make sure everything runs according to how a PC should run the game, they don't get much time to figure that out, and you get a lot of negative reviews. The only solution right now is to not pre-order the game and maybe not buy the game on day one, but wait and watch some videos like myself and many other reviews that people put out to see how the performance on PC really is. But there are some games that are just not good regardless of the performance, whether it's the story, characters, the world, they somehow were not able to figure it out, and I played Gotham Knights and that was one of them. Check this video out to know why Gotham Knights just didn't do that well.